We're getting ready to start something that I had mentioned last month. Last year, we did kind of like a little spotlight on certain things that the city can offer the Christian organization, the Christian community. We had the emergency crew came out, being the fire chief, and we went to the police, when they were talking about guns. We had the different media come out and talk about all the things they did, and it was well received. That I felt that we need to continue this because Piqua goes through a lot of transitions between leadership, and we've had churches combine, we've had churches that would leave. We have a new pastor for the Trinity Church, Brother Greg Morrow, who was with us last month, and I felt it would be very helpful if we would continue doing that until it's not needed anymore. So what I sought out to do is I contacted certain departments of the city, certain media aspect, and what I've got some already saying yes, and I've got some in the wings. We have the Piqua event coordinator, Brittany Van Horn. We have the fire chief, Lee Adams, the Piqua police representative of the community and school resource officer. We have Channel 5. We have the Compassion Network. I also have confirmation that the Piqua paper will going to be come out and be a part of this, Kettering Hospital, and we're even looking into WPTW to come on out and talk about what they can do for you. So for January, I was very honored to have a very fine lady that's doing an awful lot for our city. And she just got her finger on the pulse of what we as Christian community need to understand, because, our gospel is mighty and we win souls with it, but sometimes people want to know that we're not all just step next, that we actually want to have fun and care about them. So we have like events and things like that, and our city event coordinator, Brittany Van Horn, has graciously said she would be here. So she's going to give about a 10 or 15 minute little venue of what we can get from the city if we want to do something. Hopefully you can learn something. If you have questions afterwards, we'll have a little small open forum after that, and then we'll move on. So Brittany, if you would come ahead, and thank you again for coming and helping us.
Thanks for having me. I'm seeing it more and more within the last couple of years since I've been with the city, of churches having events and trying to find that process to start with the application process of those events. So like Paul said, I do public relations and special events for the city. So I'm that contact that you would need to get a hold of in order to host one of those special events, only if it's on public property. If it's on your own church property, you don't need to get a hold of me unless you're having alcohol or need something special. Then you can reach out to me and see if we can provide that. But if you are having it on public grounds, then we do have an application online. If you go to the how-to section on our website and scroll about 3/4 of the way down, it says how to submit a special event application. It's not a very long application. It just you just describe your event, what you would like to do. If you have a street closing, then we have a street closing permit that is run through our engineering department. And sometimes you'll need a street closing depending on how much of the street you're going to close, or if you're just going to close off parking spots and that's a block way. So there's different things that we can work with you on. The biggest thing that we need if you are having an event on a special event or on public grounds would be insurance. That seems to be the one thing that some event organizers struggle with, and basically that insurance just provides the city as a additional insured on your insurance for just that event, and we have specific language that I would be able to give you to go on that certificate of insurance. It's a fairly easy process. Whoever you have your insurance through can help you with that. We also have other permits like the alcohol license permit. If you are going to have alcohol, that goes through our police department, and then you actually register with that through the state. That actually doesn't really touch my hands. That's more of our police chief handles that. Other things, temporary food permits. If you're going to be selling food, then you have to get one of those from the health department. It's $10. It's a pretty easy process. You fill out a form, and then they come out and do an inspection the day of your event. If you're giving away food for free, which I know sometimes people do at their events, you don't have to get a temporary food permit for that. That's just this fine line distinguishing factor between those two things, which a lot of people kind of get confused about, but yeah, if it's free, you don't need the temporary permit. If you're having any form of animals, we do have an animal permit that gets processed through our engineering department. So again, that's on that same page that you would find the application for special events. Some really good examples of churches who have used this process before is St. Paul's. They have just a small picnic that they do. They close down one of the streets. St. Boniface, they have a really good Oktoberfest. And that's a pretty well-oiled machine. It's the same event every year, but you know they go through the process with no problems. Same with St. Mary's. They go through the process, and both of those have alcohol, and so they have to do everything pretty much, street closings, all of that. And so typically if it's a bigger event like that, we'll have the organizers come in and meet with our departments just so that we're all on the same page. And if we have any questions, then we ask them then. If you guys have any questions, you ask us at that meeting. I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is I organize the Pickle Fourth Fest. That's my big event that I put on for the city, which is also a great fundraiser for the churches. I know Paul Green, he brings his church. There's a couple other churches that come too. But it's a good opportunity for you to raise funds, bring awareness to your churches, bring awareness to any cause that you would like to bring. We do have a small fee for that, but if we provide the space, a tent for you, electric, water, anything that you would possibly need, pretty much, tables, chairs, we would provide all of that for you. But I just think that that's a really good opportunity for you to get out into the public and really showcase what your churches do and possibly make it a good fundraiser. And again, you can find that on our website as well. The application for that is pretty short also. That's about all I have. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. You just call me if you have any questions. Yeah. Okay.
So, as she's shown everybody here, a lot of times we wonder how are we going to get out and reach the city? How do we show, you know, that we're here? I mean, some of us is lucky to have big churches. And then you have some who actually at times had to be in their own homes and things like that. And they want people to know, hey, we're here. And a lot of times we seek, how are we going to do this? How are we going to show who we are and how we love? I mean, I know that when PAC did the trunk or treat, that we had other churches come and be a part of that, and that was such a success. Not only did the kids get to enjoy the candy, but they got to meet these churches to say, hey, we're here. And some of those kids, it's probably the first time they ever met anybody that was from a church. So I strongly encourage that when we start thinking about this, you don't have to think small. We've got the resources, you can go bigger. You know, and sometimes maybe like Brother Larry was talking about, maybe we should come together in a unity together and say, let's use our resources and show God's love. So is there any questions that you may have personally about things for your church that would relate to Brittany's department? Anybody?
If you have any other questions at all about the city process of anything, feel free to reach out to me too, and I can connect you with the correct person in our departments, or possibly even give you the answer firsthand.
Brittany, why don't you give them your phone number?
I was just gonna say, I didn't know if I
Why
missed
don't
it.
you give
How do
them
I-
your
how
phone
do I get
number
ahold of you?
and maybe email address that they can contact you?
Yeah, so you can actually find all of that on the website too, and the contact us, but my email is vvanhorn@piclaoh.org. And my phone number is 937-778-2037.
I know there was some hand raises, was these for questions that wasn't related to that?
Just pointing at him. I
Oh,
was trying to get your attention. And I was gonna ask the same thing that you brought up. We're good.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other possible questions or comments?
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brittany, for being here. We appreciate it. Let's give her a hand again. We will be doing this for the next 4 months. We won't do it for May because May is our annual PAC dinner, and that is always set aside for the specific, the officers and our Hero of the Faith Award and things like this. But from January, February, March, and April, we will be doing these spotlight so that they can come in. Now, next month, we've got, like I said, Assistant Chief Lee Adams. And if you remember, he was with us last year at Brother Larry's church, and we all got to play with fire extinguishers. So, and it was fun, yes. And I do appreciate the fact that our new police chief, Brian, gave us the ability to have one of their representatives for the schools and the community resources, because they need to know that we're there to support him. And I will be giving these out. I'm going to be going through Channel 5 and in the paper and some other avenues which the executive board is looking into to try to promote this so that people have a chance, if they want to be a part of whatever it is during that month, they can come and be there. Otherwise, like we said, we are going to film this on the Indonesian station, and you can, if you miss it and you want to know what was said, you can go onto that site and you can take care of it. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's start with our community reports. And in our community reports, the first one that you see is the Munch Bunch. And usually when I talk to you, I usually say ditto, because it usually does every month. They do about the same thing. We do somebody with their bag. They have one packing month. Now they've been back from the holidays, and I spoke to my pastor, which you may or may not know, the Pickle Pentecostal Church is the one that's overseeing the Munch Bunch ministry, and it's being coordinated by Sister Kathy Bramlett. They packed 876 bags this month for any, and if you're not sure what they do, you pack these lunch for these kids in school, and they give them in the weekend so that they can take them home. And if they can't have any food, there's some food there for them to eat. It's a very wondrous ministry. Their next packing date is Tuesday, January 14th. Tuesday, January 14th is the next day that they will be packing. Like I stated, Kathy Bramlett is the coordinator. Her phone number is 937-414-2811. 2811. So if you want to donate, if you want to be a part of the packing, get a hold of her before this date, and she will be able to assist you with whatever that you're wanting to do. So any questions about the Munch Bunch? Okay, good. Let's move on then. Our next community report is on the coal shelter. And unfortunately, I do not have a good report. I spoke to Kathy Larger, and when I spoke to you guys in December, which I was speaking to Wilma, she was expressing that there was a lot of need and they didn't know where it was going to go on, but she would see where it lead and try to keep it going. Well, speaking to Kathy, she let me know that as of January, they closed down the coal shelter. It's closed down for a year, and due to the lack of volunteerism and having a coordinator, very most likely it could be closed down permanently. It's a sad thing, but as we all know, when we're trying to do ministries and things like that, if you don't have the support, it's hard to keep things going, even if it's a needed ministry. Now, I said very most likely permanently closed, unless something drastically happens. The cold shelter was established by the churches, but it had that passionate drive, Brother Larry, by our former mayor, Casey Hines. She was the one who was pushing behind it and got it going. And I'm sure if God put that passion in somebody else, we could revive it. But Kathy has sent an email in the January time, and she says, due to lack of volunteer to take over as coordinator, Bethany Center will not be able to have our cold shelter open this year. We regret having to do this. We know there's a need. God bless Wilma and Kathy. So for the rest of this year, unless somebody has the passion to make it happen, the cold shelter is closed. And if nothing changes, most likely, very much likely, it will be permanently closed. Do we have any questions pertaining to the cold shelter? Okay, let's move on. That takes care of our community reports. And now we get ready to start our old business. As you can see, we have quite a few to talk about. The first one is our Good Friday service. It's dated for April 10th, 2020. Speaking to Brother Allen, he had basically told me the same thing he told me the last time, where they had talked to the school, and the school was saying, okay, we need a place, we need a time, and then they were going to start the process whenever they was able to do so. It is confirmed that the baccalaureate will be held at the Pickwick Baptist Church. And, oh, Good Friday, I'm sorry. That's why I had Jeannie by my side. No, so the host church, brother, I'm sorry, but he did tell me the same thing, that he was looking for a church to host Good Friday. So we're talking Good Friday. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. So he's looking for a host church for the Good Friday service. And at that time, that's all he's been able to process. And we're going to need a committee. Yeah, it is scheduled April 10th, and you may think we've got time, but in reality, you don't. It takes a good 3-4 months to actually plan something halfway decently. So there is a need for a committee. Brother Allen, I believe, will not try to be the chairman, but he's willing to help. And he's starting out by looking for a host church. So first of all, if there's anybody here that say, hey, that sounds good, I would love to have the Good Friday service be held at our church. You can get a hold of Brother Allen, and I would suggest the best way to contact him would be calling the Westminster Church. Ask for him. The number for the Westminster Church is 937-773-0564. So if you wish to be a part of the committee, or you wish to host the Good Friday service, please contact Brother Allen at the Westminster Church. Okay. The next thing that is on, is there any questions about the Good Friday service or comments? Cool. The next thing is not the baccalaureate, but it's actually the National Day of Prayer. And we are lucky to have Brother Steve, there he is. Brother Steve here, he is the chairman of this year's and last year's, which he did an awesome job, on the National Day of Prayer. Brother, do you want me to talk about it, or do you want to talk for yourself?
I'll talk for myself.
Go for it.
Don't have much to say, except I'm behind where I was last year. I've switched my opinion who to ask to speak about 4 times. So I'm still looking for a speaker. Last year, this time I had that settled. I need to talk to Brittany afterwards about being at in the rotunda there at the city school building. We do have the theme from the national group is glorify God on all the earth from Habakkuk. It's 2:4. I'm not sure what else, but so since I feel like I don't have a good report, I think I should report it myself.
Thank you, Brother Steve. Two things I want to point out and help Brother Steve is, you know,
By the way, I prefer to be called Stephen, not Steve.
right, thank you, Brother Steve.
Thank you.
I'm not one really keen on church and state. I understand the concept of it. And note, before I say anything, this is my own personal perspective. I do not speak of a denominational understanding. I do not speak for my church. I don't speak for PAC either. We all have our own views of how we see things. I'm speaking of my own personal perspective. I'm not one really onto this establish of church and state where people have got this idea that the city or the state stays out of the church business and the church stays out of the city business. Now, granted, the city don't need to be telling the church how to run their services. I understand that. And we don't need to be going in there and picketing signs and saying this is how you run your city. God put in the word that anybody of authority, anybody put into a spot of leadership, it was done by God. The mayor wouldn't be a mayor unless God put him there. The city council wouldn't be a city council if God didn't put him there. And we need to have the city being prayed for. Because all over this world right now, they're making so many anti-Christian decisions right now that sooner or later we're going to be running and hiding for our lives' sake because we're going to be the enemy and not the light, like Brother Larry's saying. And I have felt strongly, and I have even progressed to PAC, the churches should be praying for their leadership. The churches should be praying for the city. The churches should be praying for the mayor, that every decision that they made is being God-led. So to say that we as a church shouldn't get in the city's business, that's not all true. We should be getting their business through our prayer. We should be getting hold of God and saying, God, we need a move of you through our city so that when the decisions they make is the one that's going to be of your choice. And I feel strongly on the National Day of Prayer, this gives a time that we can go to that place and look at our city mayors and our councilmen and women and our city managers and tell them, you know what? We may or may not vote you in, but we're praying to keep you there. We're praying that God puts protection over your head. We're praying that God's giving you the right decisions of what you do. And I feel that the National Day of Prayer is a worthwhile event that we should always get behind it. One should not be looking for a speaker. One should say, hey, I want to tell my city how much I'm backing them up in my prayers because I know God's going to make the city great. And the second thing is that our city needs to know that every single church is praying for them. They need to know this. Brother Chris Lee's just started the mayorship and he's got a whole future ahead of him. He needs to know that there are people praying for him. So I just want to plug in, Brother Stephen, that you're doing a wonderful job and he has a very good ministry that we as a churches should, it's our choice, but we should step up and say, we're going to support this ministry. We're going to support and go and pray for our city because they need our prayers. Well, that's my soapbox on that. So do we have any questions or comments about the National Day of Prayer?
My comment, nothing, this is not exactly true, as one of my sons pointed out, but my thought is nothing spiritual happens without prayer. So if we expect any spiritual movement or awakening in our city, we need to pray for our city. And I think National Day of Prayer can be a spark along that line to ignite prayer and a spiritual awakening in our community.
Which is going to be May 7th.
Yes,
It's a Thursday
at noon.
at noon.
National Day of Prayer is always the first Thursday of May, whatever day that is.
So we now know the date, we now know the time. Brother Smithley, Brother Stephen, his phone number, you mind if I give it to them?
I don't mind, please do.
It's 937-214-4986. So if you want to be a part of this ministry, please give him a call, let him know what you can do, and I'm sure he would gladly accept any help that he would get.
Paul?
Yes?
Yeah, I heard Larry saying a lot about the different divisions and how, some of them are obviously not a very good position to take. And we have that in politics, as he's laid out some there too, and what you were talking about. And it just reminds me that the Lord, God said He is always first about love. And, we spend all this time fighting each other, and I hear people say, well, that's not my president, or that's not my whatever.
Right.
And what they really should do, as a Christian anyway, we should be praying for, I don't care who's president. You don't like him or you do. We should be doing that because God was always first about love. We ought to be first about love ourselves.
Amen. Any other question or comment about this point? Okay, we'll move on. Now let's talk about the baccalaureate. I know, I always have a hard time saying that word. You ought to know, when they've asked me to open up that particular event, I always take a piece of paper and I enunciate what that says. That way when I do look at it, I'm saying it the right way, because I am terrible with that word. So it's baccalaureate is how you say it. So if you think about it, you can say it. Date that we do know pretty much, it's not been completely confirmed, like everybody says stamp, it's it, but it's pretty much going to be May 24th. We do know that we have a confirmed location. Like I was talking before, it's going to be held at the Pickwood Baptist Church. Now, one thing that was stated that I do feel that PAC does not need to be hidden from is that Brother Allen has talked and have somewhat of a vision that this particular event should be shared more on some of the other churches as well. So I'm sure after this particular event, he may bring up the point, like Grace Methodist Church out there on 25A, being that they do a lot of the Young Life events out there, that could be a good location to house this event. So I just want to let you know that that is one thing that has been spoken about. So if you feel, hey, I would like to invite my church to do that, then you could have a good opportunity. With that being stated, though, Brother Wells has informed me and Brother Allen, as far as he's concerned, as long as we want to hold that event in his church, he will have that in his church. So no matter what goes on, there will be a location for this event. So just be noting of that particular thing. And of course, we're going to need a committee for that one as well. So, do I have any questions, comments pertaining to the baccalaureate? Yes, Mike.
So the date is not set?
The date is set, it's May 24th,
All right.
but the school hasn't said, yes, that's what I want to do. It hasn't had that final stamp.
All right. We just had our calendar meeting last night. We have it for the 17th. I don't know who miscommunicated that. On our
Okay,
church calendar, it has the 17th.
so that was from the Pickwood Baptist Church?
Yeah.
17.
I don't know
Okay,
where he got that.
So the 24th came from Brother Allen. So, and I do know that Brother Allen and Brother Wells have been so busy, they haven't been able to touch base with one another. So I can see that miscommunication. So let's go with them. because it's being held at their church. So we're looking probably the 17th.
I don't know that either one matters, but
Yeah,
we need to figure something out,
yeah.
so we don't show up the wrong week.
Yeah, and like I had tried to say before, I was reminded I was off base here in the wrong event, is like Brother Allen told me, he's pretty much the same, where they talk to the school saying, okay, where's it going to be located, when is it going to be, you let us know so we can do our part, and that's kind of where he's still at. Any other comments or questions? And thank you, Brother Mike, for that correction. Any more comments on that? Okay, let's move on. The next thing that you see is our annual dinner and Hero of Faith Award. Sister Sally, I didn't know if you were going to be here or not. That's why I was trying to get a hold of you. So, did you have anything that you want to update us on pertaining to the PAC dinner, or do you have any needs that you could put out there that you would want? I'm leaving it forward to you to be able to help you with what you need done.
I think we're on track right now. We're good.
Okay, are you going to cater, or are
We
you
don't
going?
know that yet.
Okay.
So we will, as soon as we make that decision, we will let you know.
All right.
Facts and ideas and.
Right, we're just getting some ideas from previous years and, maybe approximate number who have come in the past years and something like that, so that's.
How did we used to do that, Judy?
We usually have the people RSVP sometimes as much as 2 weeks before, some refer just a week before. It depends on what maybe you're planning to do as to how much of a notice ahead of time you might like to have.
So maybe you can talk that amongst people and see when they would like to have the notice given to them. Right? Is there anything else, sister, that would be helpful?
I think we're good.
Does anybody have any questions, comments about the annual dinner for Sister Sally? Okay, the second part of this is, and we have been very blessed to be able to be an organization that says we care about those that do the work of God. And we have been able to establish a award for any lay person, pastor, pastor's wife, any child of God that is doing the work for the kingdom in Piqua, and honor them for that. We are on year 5 or 6, of those that have already came before us and has been honored. Our Hero of Faith Award is that we will get 3 or more nominations given to us. You have a little history of why we feel that person should be nominated, and then that which will be in March when that will happen. Then in April, we come out with ballots of who has been nominated, and then you guys vote. This is the person that I want honored. And then on the May dinner, before then, between April and May, we get a hold of the family members or the loved ones to trick them to come and not know what's going on. And then we announce the award, and they get it for a year, and then we start it next year. So being that this is February, I want to encourage for PAC to pray and thank who you feel deserves this award. And then bring just a little bit of statement of why you feel that what they've done to deserve this. And then we will take those nominees the following month in April and vote for them. So please be thinking and praying about those that we need to honor. And one thing that you need to know, some of you do, some of you don't, it doesn't matter if they're living or past. If they've done the work of God, deserve to be honored. I know that we honored your sisters for one of those, and the family gets blessed just as much as the person does. So is there any other questions? Is there any comments about the award? No? Okay, well, let's move on then. The next thing that we have here is the harvest party. Now, Brother Larry and Crystal Hine has graciously volunteered to oversee this harvest party. The harvest party came about because we were trying to be a blessing to the city, And one of the ways that we decided to do that was to go out in the community and have what's called a trunk or treat. Some of you churches know what I'm talking about because some of you guys do that during the Halloween season. We had a guest when we were at Brother Wells' church, and she was like, I understand what you're doing, but why don't we not honor our adversary? Why not we honor God? And I myself personally raised my kids that way. They didn't go to Halloween, but they had the discount candy afterwards, so they still glutton on the candy. But I didn't want to give that holiday any awareness. So what was suggested, and the PAC at that moment did vote and agree that we can do this, is a harvest party. Sister Crystal did give us a list of things that she thought would be neat for each church to take one of these things and take claim to it. Okay? Face painting, bobbing for apples, cornhole, bounce house, ball pit, mini golf, decorated pumpkins, so on and so on, hayride, and music and food and drink and so on. I've asked her to make a sign-in sheet. I'm going to pass this around. If this is something that you want to be a part of, if there is a part of this thing that your church wants to claim to do, please sign up for it. If you have any ideas that's not on this list, Sister Crystal has asked me to tell you she's all ears. She'll take any suggestions that you have. So I'll start this, Brother Larry. I'll start this and just pass it around.
Make me get up there.
Yes, I'm sorry. Here, a pen. You need a pen?
I've got one.
Okay. So a date needs to be established, a committee needs to be formed, which if you sign that, you're basically saying I'm being part of the committee because I'm going to be talking about what we're going to do. So keep that in mind that you'll be a part of the harvest planning because you're signing up for that. All right, so is there any questions about the harvest party or comments? Okay.
Where's it going to be?
The date hasn't been
Where?
established. Where? All this stuff has to be formed. I do have something for you. I have the phone numbers or the contact numbers for Brother Larry and for Sister Crystal. That way, if you wish to call them, you can do so. I'll do Brother Larry's first since he's here. It's 937-963-3431. 963-3431. And that is Brother Larry's phone. Sister Crystal, it's 260. Area code 260-226-2952. 2952. So if any of those numbers you want to be a part of the harvest, please give a call. Talk to either one, and I'm sure that they would gladly accept any help that they give. As that goes by, if there is something that you feel that your church wants to be a part of, please sign up for that. So with that one, I'll go to the next one. On your list, the next to be talked about is the nominating committee. The nominating committee was formed because, for lack of a better way of saying it, at the time we've not had anybody wish to step up to become vice president, because the way it works is you're vice president and then you move into the president. And when you move into the president, they should be another vice president to follow behind them. And the way that they want it is they want minister, layperson, minister, layperson. Well, because there was trouble with that, PAC passed it in their bylaws and fixed it that a person can have an extended being a part of what they need to be. And I have been honored to be your president for the last 5 terms. Coming up with my 6th one. Is that right? Okay, so, and I've had expressed that I would love to have somebody come up and share the blessings of this. So, because we hadn't had the ability to make that happen, last year we voted to have a nominating committee, which Sister Marilyn Haltman is overseeing it. I usually are, but there are 2 to 3 people, 2 that have said yes, and some that are still looking to whether they want to be a part of it. I called Sister Marilyn, and due to their health, both her and her husband been having some health concerns. They haven't had the ability to go further on it. So at this point in time, we do have a committee. There are people being looked in to be a part of it. Once we get, I think she said she wanted 3 ministers and 2 lay people. That's what she was wanting to do, to have for the nominating committee, so that they would vote for who would be your next vice president. And then they would follow after me. So that, any questions about the nominating committee and where it's at right now? If any of you would wish to be a part of the nominating committee, I can give you Marilyn's number. Do we want Marilyn's number? I'm seeing some yeses, some nos. So let's give Marilyn's number. Well, there's the sisters. Sister Marilyn Haltman. Her mobile phone number is 937-367-7138. So if you wish to be a part of the nominating committee or you want to nominate somebody, please contact her so that she can continue on that particular ministry. So with no questions, is there any questions on this? So with these questions, let's go to the next one. The next one is talking of the 10 Commandment Monument. We are blessed to have the gentleman who wants to spearhead this, Brother Ron Miller. For some of you that may not know, I'm going to do a very quick rehash. It's been a passion of Brother Ron through a vision of God that gave him that he wants to put a 10 Commandment monument right there on the land of the Grace Methodist Church, which is parallel to the exit that the buses leave when they leave the high school and junior high. His motivation is that they stop there every single day. They're always there, and they're going to eventually look at that thing, and then they might learn something, and it will bless them. The reason why he is asked to be part of PAC, and when he requested of PAC, is that there is a financial aspect that is concerning to him and the church that is allowing and has given written permission to put this monument. We as PAC have a policy in our bylaws that we can allow organizations to come in and use our 401c to pay, like Munch Bunch comes in. We have a separate account for Munch Bunch. The check's written out to Munch Bunch. It is turned to them when they go out and go to all Aldi's or they go to Sam's Club and spends $2,000 on this food. They come back with a receipt. We write them a check from their account, and then it continues to cycle. And Brother Ron has asked for this particular thing. Now, I was supposed to have a meeting with the lawyer back in December 10th to be exact, and due for holidays and this and that, it just never happened. So I did reschedule that appointment, which is tomorrow at 10, which anybody here who wants to be part of that meeting, it's open to PAC, because this is a PAC perspective. All right?
We've got a very good treasurer. What does she think about that?
You've been asked a question.
I mean, it's just another account. I mean, so,
Doesn't bother you or none?
no.
Good.
Now, one thing that, because I was supposed to, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Larry, sorry. Because I was to talk to the lawyer in December, I thought I was going to have more information to give you and that we could go in a more legal direction. But even though that was not done, I did ask last month that you guys to pray about this, to think about this, because this is something that PAC has to decide on what they want to do. I also stated in that month that I would like to have an open forum of discussion, because I thought when we had the discussion I would have answers for you because I would talk to the lawyer, but what I could do with this open discussion about this, your concerns, your fears, your positiveness of it, is that I could take those questions and I can get them addressed and find out where we stand on those particular subjects. So, I am asking for an open forum. Brother Ron is asking for PAC to open an account so that this particular ministry, all the money would go to that account. It would be addressed to, not to PAC, because what we would do, well, Brother Ron, like we're done with Munch Bunch, he would have a name for that ministry or the name of whatever that organization or that particular would, and it would go to that account under that name. That way PAC's not handling and being responsible, just like we're not responsible for Munch Bunch stuff. What they put in, what they take out, that's their account. And nobody touches it. It does not affect PAC's account. There's no connection to it. It's a separate account. So, you'll have to have a name. And it have to be some type of an organization ministry. Because we will not, this has been discussed, and I really don't need to talk to the lawyer because I can understand this. When we as PAC used to give out money for people that needed, they would come to us and they would say, we're doing, I think one time we had the Gospel Fest out there at the fairgrounds. And they came and asked us to support them financially. And we've had other people ask for PAC to financially do that. The Pandora box that it opened was as soon as they found out that PAC was giving money out, we got tons of people coming to us, and the very last person that we gave money to, period, other than Brother Larry, was a young lady that went on a mission field out of country, and we gave her some support financially. Those are the only two times that PAC's agreed to pay towards something like that. So, our worry was that if we open this up for a person or for an event, that we're going to be flooded, just like we were flooded over the money part of people asking for this. So one of the things, and I'm going to clarify it with the lawyer to make sure that it's done for protection for PAC, is that this has to be an organization, or this has to be a specific ministry which can fall under that, Brother Ron, if it's done appropriately. Okay? And then that way we're supporting what's happening and not supporting the person. Yes, Brother Steve.
When you speak to your lawyer, you might ask too, if the mere fact that our treasurer, PAC's treasurer, is handling the fund, that does not make us legally liable.
Right? Are we legally liable for handling the money? So any other concerns that one might want you to ask the lawyer? Linda?
It's not so much about the lawyer, but if I'm correct, and I read where it was like $22,000 to have this project made, taken care of.
I think the letter that I got from Grace United that said we could, giving us permission to put this on their lot right on Tomahawk Lane. And I'd have to read, somewhere it comes
I was
out-
reading it in
Yeah,
the
it
paper,
comes-
just a little bit of
Okay,
it, that's the reason, it
this
was
is gonna
mentioned in the
tell-
paper.
It was
For
in
the
the
monument only
Yeah.
was around 17,000. Now, the people at Grace United I'm talking to, they're like, well, you better add on, because we're gonna have legal fees and zoning, and what if we're gonna run electric
That's what
up
I
to it?
was-
All the other extras. So, yeah, if somebody sees this letter from Grace United, and then they hear me talking about 22,000, well, there's a little bit of, yeah, discrepancy there. Yeah, this is a very, very, it's 8 inches thick, it's 42 inches wide, each slab. Grace United wanted, we started small, and then the more we got to talking about it and how powerful this could be to the pickle community. I mean, so many people drive through there. I used to drive school bus, and I know how slow they go through there on Tomahawk Lane, and it's just incredible. I mentioned at the last meeting that if these kids hanging out the window would just memorize one letter every day, within a year, they got the whole 10 Commandments down, you know? Maybe it'll make a difference. So, yeah.
I'm glad you did mention that, Linda, because there was a question that was asked last meeting, which I will put that down again. The question was asked, what if the money that was given to us is under the amount that they said that they need to have or was over the amount that they said they had, what were we to do in those scenarios? So I will bring that question also up. So that question was asked of PAC as well. What do we do with the funding in the account if it doesn't reach the goal or is over the goal? So that will be checked into. There was another question. Who was the one that raised their hand? Do we have another question, or can we continue this open forum about this? Is there any concerns that anybody have about putting a Ten Commandment monument out there at the Grace Methodist Church's property? Does anybody feel that this is a thing that we should do as Christian brothers and sisters to put that out? Okay, so
I just want to say that when they started removing all that out of the courts, buildings and stuff like that, it left a void. And I'm like him, that if a kid can see those words, not only to see them, but to be able to say them would mean a lot.
I even agree with you, and I would say when as far as back when we took prayer out of school, period. I think that's where it actually started. But that's for historians to debate about.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I think if it's on, the church property.
Right,
You know, there's probably nothing wrong with that, from a legal perspective. Now, I don't know what kind of liability, PAC might have in terms of handling the accounts associated with
right.
that. But, we're going to try to,
Figure that out.
Yeah. But I guess I'm kind of curious. Now, I think I heard him say that it was an epiphany. I just wonder the practicality of the Great Commandment versus the Ten Commandments. To me, if we're trying to get the attention of young people as they're going by, it would be a lot easier to share with them, that we ought to love God and our neighbors as ourselves. That's pretty simplistic, but I don't know that that's, something that you're really kind of pointing in the direction.
What I would like to say on that, Brother Larry, is that when you give the first and second commandment that God has given you, people can use their own perspective of how they want to interpret that. When you're reading the Ten Commandments and it says, thou shalt not kill, there's no question. If it says, thou shalt not steal, there's no question, there's no debate.
There's absolutely a question. We were killing.
Yeah,
we killed.
Yeah, but they're being disobedient to the rule of God.
Well, that's what I'm, saying. There are those kinds of, spiritual.
And also, I would like to take your idea and say, hey, why don't we see what happens with this? And then if God leads us, because PEC was going to be where God's going to do His great work. You can't look at people coming in together from different denominations and different churches and say, hey, I want to change the community and expect nothing to happen. Because God says, if you are a good steward of the little, I'll make you a better steward with much. And I see that now. And I see this organization, it's not a boys club. This is an actual community of churches that say, in Christian organizations, say, I want to make a difference. So I agree with what you're saying. We need to put that out there. Let's see what we can do with this one first. And find out if we can even do it. Ron?
That did come up at Grace United. They wanted to put the Ten Commandments on one side and have, you're saying on the other. So that has come up.
So maybe it might be a possibility,
There's a
you're saying?
possibility of both,
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
And another I'm sorry.
Well,
That was
Larry?
what?
That was Jesus' words, the two commandments.
Yeah.
The other concern about not enough money or too much money, I'm sorry, but I just deep down, I know we're not going to have a problem with not enough money. And it's going to be a good problem to have. We have too much money, and I see, it doesn't have to stop in Pickle. We can get other communities involved, and I am relying again, I don't know, we have a few young kids in here, but most of us are like, the internet, the things going viral. I think once this thing, if it's handled properly, if I find the right young kids, you gave me some names, to get it on the internet, to get it to go viral, we're gonna have plenty of money. That's not gonna be an issue. It's gonna be, where do we put the next one? Where do we do the next one?
But yet the question was brought up.
One at a time, yes,
And it needs to be addressed.
yes.
So that way, there is no stumbling block on God's movement.
But you also have to be cautious of the kids that you talk to.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
So therefore, I mean, you know, these kids, young, may be doing things their parents don't know.
I know
So-
PAC, with this, PAC will be supporting him in that account if that's what we decide to do. So we will be in the point of supporting him, and we're going to help him as much as we can. But my understanding from Ron, this is a motivation fueled and moved by what you're going to do. Is that about right with the help of what PAC's doing with you now? Is that about correct?
Okay. There's gonna be a lot of discussion. The first thing we need, before I can go out and start telling them, send money, or send your donation, I gotta have a place to put it. I
Right.
can't put it in my name or the church's name. Then, yes, I would love to, whoever would like to sit around and let's discuss how we're gonna do this. I would love for this group to take over. I'm the messenger, yes.
They're saying
Well-
you can't get involved, right, other than
Oh,
providing the,
Yeah, the money-
We can't be the decision makers of what you're doing, okay? When they had the heroin, the heroin,
hope over heroin.
thank you, Hope Over Heroin event, Pickles PAC was not the one making the decisions. They were there to assist and help.
Okay.
That's what we were told. And what I'm saying to you is that we are here, if we decide to be a part of this, we are here to assist and help. We cannot be making the decisions on this, because then it becomes a PAC property. Okay, and then your vision can be distorted because somebody else will be saying, okay, we're the one in charge and this is what we're going to do. That's why it's important. I'm getting all the information from PAC right now. How do you feel about this? Because when we make this decision, yay or nay, we're going to be keeping to it. Does anybody understand what I'm saying and agree with what point I'm bringing out?
Yeah, but that, he's open to hearing different people's opinions.
Right.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, when I did the church fair, I took anybody's, negative or positive, because it helps me to make better decisions on what to do.
Okay.
So is there any more comments, concerns, or questions pertaining to this? Ron, do you have any comments, concerns, questions, or needs that you would like to bring out that these questions have brought up?
It's already been discussed.
Okay,
So we're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so our next thing that we'll be talking about is Welcome Committee. That is what's next on the thing. Now, the Welcome Committee, we have went on break for the holidays. We will be starting up on the third Monday of this year, of January, which is the 20th of January. It will be held at 7 p.m. and it will be held at the present Piqua United Pentecostal Church. And I am honored to say that tentatively we are striving to move into our new church February 2nd. So we'll be coming from that building, going out to the Old Spirit Life Church on 25A next to Paul Sherry's. So, and I think the pastor is talking about changing the name for that church. So, great things to move about. So, presently, for January, it will be held at the Old Pentecostal Church. If you have any questions, you can give me a call. My number is 937-703-8205. You'll probably see a lot of it on your answer machine because I'm usually calling everybody. So it's January 20th at 7 p.m. at the Piqua Pentecostal Church.